Hi, Josh. Thanks for your time today and thanks for joining me here. How are you?
No worries. Thank you for having me, Adil. It's a pleasure to be here.
So I've been doing interviews with the artists who joined our workshop recently. The workshop is being organized by Newgrounds
hmm
and we as part of our programming for this year, and we start to do that a bit early. Um, and the workshop was with David Shrigley, and you were the one of the participants. So I want to ask
Yeah.
you a few questions. How was it for you, and how did you feel about it? But first of all, let's start who you are and what you're doing.
Okay. Well, my name's Josh Redfearn. I'm an artist and photographer living and working in Brighton. My interests are primarily in landscape and urban photography, and I specialise in working with analogue, that is to say, film cameras and film-based photography. I've had a myriad of different professions in Brighton that are related to photography. I've worked as a picture framer, a photo lab technician. I've also done photographic printing and worked as a photographic retailer as well. So quite a lot of different jobs. My current job is I work for a small company constructing 4x5 and 8x10 field cameras that use sheet film. And I really love that. For my work for Newgrounds, I'm currently working with a series of images that are concerned with the aesthetics of the street view, human memory, accommodation and housing in the city, and looking at kind of architecture and texture and form. Yeah.
That's great. So how did you find the workshop? How was your experience?
I really enjoyed the workshop, thank you. Yeah, it was good. It was really nice to meet David. I found it not only really valuable to be given access to an established artist and hear about their practice and the opportunities that led to their success, but also to be able to create a presentation of my own and explain my current practice and show my work in its middle stages of completion. I found that really, really helpful to do. It was also really good to be connected with the other Newgrounds artists, as it's sometimes easier to reflect upon one's own challenges when hearing about others' struggles and successes. In all cases, David managed to offer really constructive feedback.
I was wondering, how do you think the conversation with David Shringley and the group discussions help you to think about your work or the way you work or the work you're preparing for our exhibition this November and December period?
That's a really good question. David really gave his attention to listen to my process and my explanation of where I thought my work had reached so far. And despite him being an artist that works in a different discipline, David had worked in photography and still had a large degree of relevant insight, which I'd assumed not to be the case. So the advice he gave me felt relevant. It can be difficult to present work for me, especially in an unfinished form, when there are lots of choices still to make. But I felt like David was able to find the relevant threads in what I presented, and he helped me focus on what was needed. Development of the finalization of the work, basically. So we talked about the physical making and displaying of photographic works. We looked at the mediums that are traditionally used. For example, like the gallery print and collection, photos printed on a page in the case of photo books, or transient images as projections or as online galleries. And we questioned the appropriateness of each of those different presentation methods for my work. And he helped kind of guide me to where my instincts lay in regards to that outcome.
Fantastic, and it's just incredible insight, really.
Yeah.
So last question is kind of you already answered, I think, but what benefit did you get from the workshop?
Well, lots of benefit, really. The thing that David stressed to each of us, his main message for creating as an artist, was just to keep making the work regardless of how you feel, which is such a simple message, but it's a really strong message, especially considering the tough time everybody's been through. So, what I got from it was like, to keep putting in the hours and try not to be daunted by presenting the work, really, by finishing things. He also suggested finding ways to cut corners in one's practice so as to reach the finished outcome of the work quicker, not to make an inferior work, but so as not to get tangled in the process that you either enjoy doing it too much or inversely don't enjoy doing it at all. Interestingly, he also suggested that it can be helpful delegating the things you like doing to others, of course, if you can get the help, which at first I thought was a strange idea, but he clarified that he thought making the work should be hard, like a trial or a challenge, and that through completing it, you achieve against or with yourself. So if you like doing it too much, you might not be growing. At least that's how I understood it. I find that really helpful. I found tremendous opportunity for reflection during the pandemic. There have been times where the work has been easier to make, times when it has been a lot more difficult, but regardless of what's going on outside of oneself, you can always be working on cultivating a good attitude towards the art you want to make. So after the workshop, I felt like I'd given myself a chance to realign with my goals for the work and really pare things down to the bare necessities, which feels really good.
That sounds great. Well, thank you very much for your time, Josh.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Hi, Claire. Thank you for joining me today. First, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Not too bad. So before we starting, I'll just quickly do our intro. So you were one of the artists joined our workshop, and the workshop was part of New Grounds this year program. And the New Grounds is putting out an exhibition and an events program, partnershiping with AOH. And we do our program every May, but obviously through lockdown, we're doing in November and December now. So I'm going to ask a few questions. How was the workshop for you, and how did you feel about it? Before we're going to start, who you are and where are you?
Cool. Yeah, I mean, geez, with lockdown and everything, it's actually been amazing to still sort of stay in touch in a different way. I am in Cape Town in South Africa. I was actually once in an Uber in Brighton and I said I was from Cape Town, and the driver thought I said Kemp Town, and he was like, oh, that's not far. And I was like, well, Cape Town in South Africa is pretty far away. So yeah, I'm in Cape Town, South Africa, and I moved back here at the end of January, having spent a year and a half in the UK. I currently work as a curator at an art gallery in Cape Town, but my kind of research interests are kind of based in photography, as an artist, but also as a writer. And I'm kind of, I'm very interested in ideas of expanded photography and broadening the understandings around what photography can do.
Fantastic. So let's start with the first question then. How did you find the workshop? How was it for you?
Sure. It was great. It was one of these things that was possible for me to attend because of the virus and the lockdown and everything. So it worked in my favor, which I was really grateful for. It was, I think my art practice and my interests are quite different than David Shrigley's kind of than his practice, but I really appreciated some of the things that he shared, like just, setting a goal for yourself each day and just like sitting down and doing the work. I think that's really kind of priceless and like advice.
I think for me it was really fantastic, the conversation with him, but also the group conversations and discussions. So I was wondering, how did you think those conversations with David and the group discussions help you to think differently about your work in general, or the way you work, or the work you are planning to do for our exhibition?
Sure. I don't know. It's kind of a tricky one. I think the others who were on my session have quite different approaches, but it was also just fascinating to kind of hear from them what they've been busy with, what they stuck on, and what they enjoy. So I mean, it's always reassuring to kind of chat to other artists and hear how they approach things. And I think yeah, I think overall it sort of prompted me just to kind of do something, and to think a bit more, like, less about the problems of not being in Brighton, to do it myself, and to think more about what I can do from here that will work. Yeah.
I think the last question I can think of is, what benefit did you get from the workshop? What was it that you can take and think every day and remind yourself to do?
Yeah, I think the main thing is just to do it, just to get on with it. I'm definitely someone who gets stuck in my own head, and I come up with excuses as to why I shouldn't do something, or why it's too hard, or why not right now. And yeah, I think especially kind of David Shrigley's approach of just sitting down and putting stuff on a page, and it's not that everything has to be the final work or the ultimate product or the ultimate artwork. You know, it can also just go into a bank of things that you can refer back to, and yeah, just to get going. Really, it was very helpful, and I'm trying to remind myself that a little bit every day.